Geometry Chapter 1, Section 1. This is our basis for geometry, and we start with a bunch of definitions here. We start out with undefined terms, and by undefined terms, we mean they can't be defined using any other figures in geometry. And those three undefined terms are point, line, and plane. Guaranteed exam question right there. Three undefined terms are point, line, and plane. A point names a location. It's not really a definition, it's more of an explanation. A point names a location, and you use a capital letter for that. So here we have this little dot that represents a point, and that is the point A because there's a capital letter A next to it. Next we have a line. A line is a straight path with no thickness and extends forever. You can either use a lowercase cursive letter, and I'm going to put L right there. And a lot of times we use the cursive letter L for line. Or you can name it with 2 points from the line. And you would call that AB. And then you put that little symbol above it. And that shows that both of those go on forever in both directions. A plane is a flat surface. It has no thickness and it extends forever. We use a script letter. It's usually in the corner, and I'm not very good at drawing these script letters. I'm going to go kind of like that, and we could call that plane R, or we can name any 3 points on the plane. I'm going to call those X, Y, and Z, and you could call that plane X, Y, Z. A segment is part of a line that has 2 endpoints, and you'll see here we have the segment AB. I'm going to write it out again. I know it's up there. You can either do segment AB like that, or the second one just specifically shows the endpoints. And I will tell you, I usually go with the first one. I don't usually put those endpoints on there. An endpoint is just a point at the end of the ray or the segment. And since it's a point, it's going to be named with a capital letter. This is endpoint A. This is endpoint B. And then a ray is a part of a line that starts at an endpoint and extends forever in one direction. And you'll notice this is the endpoint, and it goes through the A. And this letter, the one that has the endpoint on it, has to have the endpoint above it. So since the endpoint is at B, the B comes first, and there's the endpoint, and then it goes through the letter A. Couple definitions on our next page. Opposite rays are 2 rays that have a common endpoint and they form a line. So we have the ray BA and the ray BC, which are opposite rays. You will notice right here in the middle is the endpoint, and if I cover up that part, you'll see the ray BA, and if I cover up this part, you will see the ray BC. And when you put them together, you get the line. So 2 rays that have a common endpoint and form a line. Collinear, you can see the word line in there. Collinear means points that are on the same line. And here we have A, B, C, and D, which are collinear. They are all on the same line. Non-collinear are points that are not on the same line. And I think this is a typo here. And if we want A, B, and C to be not collinear, we would have to have one of those points that is not on the same line. And coplanar are points that are in the same plane. So X, Y, and Z, those are coplanar. And for those of you who don't know me, when I make my Z, I cross it like that. Next thing we need to do is draw and label a bunch of geometric figures. First one is a segment with endpoints M and N. Well, a segment is a part of a line with two endpoints. So we have endpoint M and endpoint N. Letter B, opposite rays with common endpoint T. And if you look up here, right at the top of your paper, there's a hint for you with opposite rays. So we're going to put this point T in the middle, and we are going to have rays that go in opposite directions. Letter C asks us to find a ray with endpoint M that contains N. Very important, our endpoint is the M, and it contains an N, so that ray goes right through. The endpoint is M, and then it goes through the N. Letter D, we have point W, so just a point and a W. Letter E, we have line MN, so I'm going to make those 2 points there, M and N, and then we make our line go through that. Letter F is the segment AB, so we need to have 2 endpoints, A and B. Letter G, we want the ray CD. Notice the endpoint is above the C, and it goes through the point D. H, take a minute and draw that on your own. And that will be the ray DC. Notice those use the same letters, G and H do. Letter G has C as an endpoint. Letter H has D as an endpoint. And letter I is the line XY. So we have an X and a Y, and those arrows that show it's a line that show it extends forever. A postulate or axiom is assumed to be true. I guess I should say a statement that is assumed to be true. We don't have to prove it. We're just going to assume we have 5 of them here, and we're going to assume that these 5 statements are true. The first one says, through any 2 points, there is exactly 1 line. And we need to draw a sketch with this. There's 2 points right there, and there is a line. So we had 2 points, and that was our line. Next one, through any 3 non-collinear points. So 3 points that are not on the same line. There is exactly 1 plane. So those 3 points determine the plane. Postulate 3, if 2 points lie in a plane, so here's our plane, and we have those 2 points. If 2 points lie in a plane, then the line containing those points lies in the plane. So that line right there is also in the plane. Next one, if 2 lines intersect, they intersect in exactly 1 point. So we're going to have 2 lines, they intersect, and that is the point. And if 2 planes intersect, they intersect in exactly 1 line. And watch me draw this the first time, and then I'll show you how to do it. There's our first plane, and then I draw the line where they intersect, which is right there. From those points you go up, and you can see the second plane forming, and then you also go down and draw the second plane. And let me draw that one more time. There's the first plane. Draw the line where they form. Straight up from those 2. Straight down, and sometimes you draw that one dashed that's kind of hidden. And there you can see the 2 planes. And this is kind of like 2 walls in a corner. 2 planes, and they intersect and form a line. Example 2, we have some pictures and we need to answer some questions. Name a line that passes through 2 points. That would be the line XY. Letter B, name a plane that contains 3 non-collinear points. You can name this 2 ways. There's the script capital R, or you can name it plane GHF. You can name it according to those 3 points. Example 3, name each figure using words and symbols. Well, using words, that is the line CD. And using symbols, you have the CD with the line over it. Example 3B is the ray ST. And with symbols, the endpoint goes over the S and the arrow goes over the T. Next page, naming the plane in 2 ways. Well, first of all, we could name it plane P. It's my bad attempt at a cursive P. Or you can name it plane AB. B, C. D, this is the segments, WX, or you can name it WX with that segment symbol above it. Example 4, we are asked to name each figure with the correct symbols. So from this picture, we need to find two opposite rays, and I'm going to do CD and CB. So from C to D, from C to B. Letter B, a point that is on BC. So from B to C, I'm going to use point D. Letter C, the intersection of plane N and plane T. When these two planes intersect, they form a line. And I'm going to call that the line BD. Letter D, a plane containing E, D, and B. You could name it actually using those three letters, plane EDB, or there is a cursive letter right there. You can name that plane T, and either of those would be just fine. Letter E, three collinear points. I'm going to use B, C, and D, all on the same line. And for three non-collinear points, I am going to use A, C, and E. A, C, and E. Letter G, two lines that intersect at C. Well, we have line AC and we have line BC. And the last example, the second example 4, sketch each of the following. Two lines that intersect at exactly one point. There are two lines, and here's the point where they intersect. A line intersecting a plane to make a point. Well, there's the plane, and we're going to draw a line, and then I draw the dashed part right there. And you can see that line that goes down through the plane. A ray with endpoint P that passes through G. And lastly, two planes that intersect in a line. There's the first plane. I'm going to draw a line. Draw both of those going up. Both going down, and looks like that.